I don't care if Alpha Centauri was a carpool lane. This vehicle is clearly over capacity. You guys are going to have to pull it over on Junkion and wait for your respective bodies to come pick you up. And no crying to me if your body can't fly. You should have thought of that before you left. More Titans return this week as we look at some of the new molds from the current waves, including this beauty. Now, this one is so special to me because I had Topspin as a kid, and if you ask me what toy did I have that I would never expect to see in a new form, that would probably be it. But here it is, and isn't it a thing of absolute beauty? The former Jumpstarter getting a proper solid transformer. If you don't know what a Jumpstarter is, you remember those little flip toys that came out during, I believe, the first Andrew Garfield Spider-Man and I think the Avengers, where they formed vehicles that rolled and then flipped out into a robot on their own? The exact same thing, except they were actual Transformers. And this being one of the originals, and look at how cool he looks as this really awesome space fighter with the dual hook nose cone things inside. I love it. So you have this guy cast in a very lovely shade of blue. It's not too vivid. There's a little bit of a ocean or sky hue to it. It's an interesting color that I really like, and of course a lot of white and silver going into him too. Very, very space age design. Definitely not something you would see standard on Earth. It looks like something you'd see out of like a on-rails shooter game, just kind of flying around and collecting power-ups and shooting aliens out of the sky, or like that. You see something from the old NES days going up and down, shooting things on the screen. It's a very cool vehicle. I absolutely love this thing. You know what else I love about it? Man, it feels nice and solid. I'll give you a quick tour around here. You got a whole lot of just sheer bulk going on. Landing gear there with little stumps here on the back to pretend that they're landing gear. This being the only real gap I can see in the toy. Even the hollowness is kind of kept to a minimum and pretty much where I would expect it. Big old thrusters in the back. This guy is made to go fast. Really like it. Up front, we have tons of little panel lines and molded details to give him a much more interesting look. Not a whole lot of flat surface on this guy. Looking just molded and nicely detailed all over the place. Absolutely beautiful. So we have the Autobot sigil up front. Lots of interwoven paint apps where you see it's kind of a orangish bronze color here, red lines here, blue, then white, then silver. A lot of paint going on. I'll tell you, that part looks like it's 100% painted to me. Looking in the grooves, and I start to see little hues of blue in there. You can oh, right there. Yeah, you can see it. This whole section is painted over. That's a lot of paint. A lot of this is painted over because, of course, the canopy is translucent. So much paint going on this toy. Very, very different than what we're used to in some of these Titans Return toys. And there, more black. Absolutely beautiful. So, extremely cool space age design. What else can we do here? Well, got a couple weapons that are really nice. And you can plug them into the side up here where there are actual peg holes, but it looks a little awkward hanging above the wing like that. I'm not quite a fan of that. On the other side, though, literally on the other side, you do have tab ends where you can attach these to the underside of the wing. And there's kind of a natural curve to it. Let's see if I can get it on the correct. It's hard for me to tell which is the correct wing just on hand. Well, I guess it'd be the one that isn't getting in the way of the handle. But yeah, you got these little tabs on the other side so you can peg it into the underside of the wing. And it actually flows with the design really, really well. Really dig that. Very heavily armed fighter. The little space NES game just got a power up. That's basically what this mode is. And it looks very, very cool. All naturally flows into the colors and the shapes. Absolutely excellent use of the weaponry on this toy. See, beyond that, like you saw in the intro, we have many spaces for actual Titan Masters to ride. 2 pegs here, 2 slots there for that little tab in the back of their legs. And of course we have the cockpit itself opening up, and we will go ahead and remove his little Titan Master buddy, Freeze Out. which is a little bit generic in there. Of course, they're all starting to get a little bit generic, and again, like a lot of these figures, completely devoid of paint, which is really getting to be a shame because these guys do have the potential to be little characters of their own, but you know, like I say, what's the point of even pretending like they're characters and giving them names if you're not going to give them any attention whatsoever? Oh well. Standard Titan Master, ball joint at the head, ball joints at the shoulders that only work up and down, and the double hinge at the thighs to create a sitting position if you need it. And of course you do need it to get things into this guy. So we're going to set all of that aside. We're going to get this guy into robot mode, and oh boy, this is the fun part. Alright, so I'm going to fold up the landing gear like so. This is my favorite part of this toy. So I'm going to unclip the legs from the rear section here. They are very snug. A lot of this toy does feel quite solid to me. Get that. Come on. There we go. Get that undone, and we can extend the legs out on these double hinges on the inside of them. Flip out the foot and close it up to create a very solid leg. Very nicely done to use the parts effectively, I believe. Right. That again. Fold foot out, close up, solid leg, and then we can flip out the little kneecaps there. Now we have this section we'll have to rotate all the way around, and then another section rotate all the way around. But first, get these out of the way. That way we can flip up the front section of the toy. It's going to have to, yeah, you got to open up the cockpit, raise it up, and then there we go. And kind of smoosh it together like so. So everything kind of interfolds into each other. When that's done, we're also going to have to rotate the entire vehicle around on a very strange axis that becomes his torso. That's a different design. Never seen that before. So that's exceptionally cool. Here's another cool little trick. So that little panel hides both the forearm extension and the hand that flips out, and then closes back up to create a solid arm. That's so cool. Like, I'm used to seeing the double hinge collapse. I'm used to seeing the fist flip out. I've never seen a part that incorporates both at the same time. That's a really cool way of condensing that part. And then we have the typical stuff for the Titan Master. Flip over, plug head into socket, make sure it's nice and firm. It is a little bit, this connection point is a little bit finicky, which I know is not just mine. I've seen it in other reviews, but you can get used to it. So with that, we have our robot mode, Topspin, and man, he is a beautiful thing. Man, he is like hitting so many of the right buttons for me in this mode. Big, and he's solid, and just so nice, and such a good transformation. Oh, and here's the thing that struck me the first time I saw it: size. I'm gonna give you let's see, let's try Trigger Happy over here. I'm gonna give you a size comparison to my previous favorite in this line. Spoiler alert. And you'll note Topspin is noticeably bigger. He's about half a head taller, and a lot of his parts are much bigger and bulkier than Topspin happens to be. I'd almost equate him closer. Let's see, actually, since I've got him right now, I almost equate him size closer to like a previous deluxe, where a lot of it is cast in illusion because it is like hollow boxes that contain, you know, his thighs, his upper arms, but it's still done in a way that actually makes things solid enough to get away with, and it still creates this nice, you know, image of size, which we don't typically get anymore. Taking a look at the head, now we have some good painted details. The blue for his visor, done up in a nice metallic, so it does stand out nicely from the rest of the helmet, silver face, and a little bit of a yellow crest up top. Looking quite cool. It's pretty standard design, but I always like the design on Topspin's head. And it also helps that Topspin always kind of had a bulky and boxy head to begin with, so this really doesn't look too different from his standard design, unlike some of the Titans Return figures like Scourge or whatnot, where it's a little bit awkward to look at, but here, this is perfectly fine. So what we got going on? The white is now consolidated to the chest. giving him a lot of broken up blue, but broken up in just the right way, and you can still see a little bit in the midsection just to bring it back to the torso. It's very nicely balanced, very cool appearance. I love how solid he looks. He just looks like a powerful robot, and that is so my aesthetic here. And again, very clean transformation. Everything is done exceptionally well, very intelligently designed, and very little of the hollowing out. Like, we know where it is. We know it's in the forearms and we know it's in the legs. But it's doing such a good job of hiding that and shoring up all those components that you really don't notice it. And that's the good part. Because even those old Transformers were hollowed out, you just didn't notice it because they were, you know, self-contained a lot better. And this guy is contained quite well as also. The only part where you do get it a little bit is there in the midsection, where his torso just kind of stops existing. It's not too big of a deal, though. It doesn't really show in a whole lot of poses. You got a lot of really intelligent details going on here. Aside from all of this really intricate paintwork, again, look at the little lines painted in the red. That's so nice. Indicating the original sticker placement. There's that bronze again that we saw on the knees. Another Autobot sigil, a little bit of red in the chest. All original to the original toy. You also have very subtle elements. Like, for instance, those tabs that the Titan Masters can sit on. Those tab slots there, one of them, I believe this one, is actually close to where the original tab hole was for his spring-out gimmick in G1. And you can actually see where that catch was molded in to the chest design. That's a little attention to detail I didn't expect. It's a very clever use of the original details to create a new feature in the toy. Excellently done. And that does allow a lot more Titan Master playability on the toy. So, what else? We can run down articulation, I guess, because he's got plenty of it. The ball joint works very well in the neck. A little bit of up and down, as well as all left and right. Shoulders are ball jointed, but you also have a hinge at the chest to increase his range of motion and mobility. The hinge on the wing does allow you a little bit of option as to where it's designed and displayed. I like him kind of going straight out like that. Bicep, nice rotation to it. Double jointed elbow, giving you great bend there. No wrist rotation, but we do have a waist joint, which is excellent. You have the thigh at ball joint, which works great. Aside from that, there is that bicep, there's the thigh swivel down there, and a very nice 90-degree knee bend. Nothing at the ankle, but he's got big, solid feet, so there's not a whole lot needed to help balance him. He's got exceptionally nice articulation for his design and for Deluxe, and all of it feels very solid. The joints on mine feel excellent. Nothing's really loose, and nothing is hindering him in any way. So, what else? Well, we do have these weapons, which do kind of equate to his original G1 arsenal. So, they form these very cool, very large, double-barreled guns, which, that works well enough for me. I think he looks really cool like that. And they are very nicely designed. And now, they also combine into an actual Titan Master weapon. Here's the cool part. This is probably the best design I've seen for this, because it tries to do this kind of at an angle. You see those little tabs? They kind of connect, you know, about, I don't know, about like a 25, 30 degrees there. It's a very shallow angle there to actually form up into a gun. The result is it's very hard to tell that these things do combine into a gun in the first place. And they probably do the best job of hiding the fact that there's a mode for a Titan Master to sit down in. That said, the Titan Master is supposed to slot in right there. There are little tabs that go into the back of the legs, but it doesn't sit very well on here, unfortunately. I haven't gotten any Titan Masters that actually fit snugly inside, which is a little bit of a downer. But at the very least, he does have this very cool 4-barrel cannon and 3 handles to hold it on, depending on how exactly you want him to look while he's wielding such a weapon. That said, I like the double barrel look a lot better. 2 guns, double wielding. That's the Topspin way. So that, my friends, is Titan's Return Topspin. And if you might have noticed, the only real flaw that I can spot on him that really gets to me is Titan Masters don't sit in his combined mode weapon very well. That is literally the only thing I can find that I don't like about this toy. The vehicle mode is extremely cool. The robot mode is spot on to my aesthetic. It hits my childhood. I got giddy happy just looking at this thing because it felt like a piece of myself as a kid came back to me. He's that good, and he strikes me that much, remembering the original one fondly from childhood. And he's got one of the best transformations I've seen in this toy line. This right here is the best toy in Titan's Return, bar none. I am putting my foot down. You can keep your 6 shots and your trigger happies and whatever else come down the line. This thing is like queued already for a spot in my top 10 of the year. Probably very high on the list. Do yourself a favor, track this guy down. He is definitely worth it.